So the idea was कि if we jam, something comes up, maybe we distribute it internally, maybe we don't do anything about it, or maybe a part of it could go out, transcript of it, or a summary of it could go out as an insight from C4E, just in case if something comes out interesting. Yeah. So this one was day before yesterday. जब आप लोग डिजाइन पे बात कर रहे थे, बहुत अच्छी डिस्कशन रही, तो मेरे दिमाग में एक ख्याल आया कि यहाँ पे अभी क्या हो रहा है, मतलब आई वाज थिंकिंग टू माई सेल्फ कि व्हाट्स हैपनिंग हियर, somebody initiated a point and then there are a bunch of people who are coming and taking a shot at what they feel, what they think about it, right? So then I said, what is going to be one of the most important factors, one of the many important factors for success in the next few years or decades, especially with the advent of generative AI, which can also be your cognitive competition to some extent. So the one of the answer was how we think is as important as what we think. And when I say how we think, so imagine on the x-axis how we think, what we think, y-axis how we speak and what we speak, right? So you get basically four quadrants. The how, think, how, you know the four quadrants. So I was saying ki, could there be a mechanism where we have very different some other way of thinking, some other way of speaking during the conversation? Now somebody may come back and say, why is the need? What is the need? Like, what's not happening in that you're really suggesting that? The answer is sometimes it doesn't come out of need. Sometimes it's just that why not experiment with another way, right? So here I am. I mean, I'm just trying to see if you and I can do a dual jamming. Then whatever is the content, we put it out to that inner group. The inner group can then join this chatter, or maybe we do another chatter around it. So the conversation I wanted to have was about the word design, about the concept of design. What was emerging for me was the following. So if I look at things around, if I just look around me right now, wherever I am, right, I can look around, I can survey through my eyes. I see some things which are nature made. There is a tree, there are there are leaves, branches, sunlight hai, earth hai, and there are man-made things, right? So clearly there are physical things around me, or physicals around me, which are nature made and man-made. And if I ask a question, is there a design behind that? And who's the designer, right? That's a very pertinent question that one can ask. If we go down that rabbit hole, from the nature's perspective, depending on the cosmology that you believe in, there could be a designer, there could not be a designer, right? So some scientific schools might say it's an emergence, it's evolution, the arc of evolution, it gives rise to, and these are all by chance, by probability. So while there is design, there is no designer, right? So you'll get a 2x2. Design yes no, designer yes no, right? So a lot of people will veer towards design हो जाएगा, लेकिन designer है कि नहीं पता नहीं, agency है कि नहीं पता नहीं. And some of the schools in the world are moving in that direction, especially like the systems thinking and complexity thinking, where they are saying कि individual को थोड़ा सा backseat पे डाल दो, over index कर दिए civilization को, individualistic बना दिए, hero बना दिए लोगों को. But चीजें तभी emerge होती हैं. Even if you have an individual attributing as an author or a genius, there are a lot of things that come as confluence, which gives rise to that, right? So that was something that was emerging in me. Actually, you can chime in whenever you want, huh, Saurabh. The second thing that emerged was going back to the hyperlink. If I survey around, I see man-made stuff, I see nature-made stuff. Is there a designer behind it? Is there not a designer behind it? Another interesting question that comes up is, if we use the filter of design and universe or existence or things around us, then can we say that there are things that we can say, ये design के bucket में आता है, ये non-design के bucket में आता है, ये चीजें हैं जिसके बारे में मैं कंफ्यूज हूं कि ये डिजाइन है, ये नॉन डिजाइन है, और कुछ चीजें हैं जो मेरे अंडरस्टैंडिंग के बियॉन्ड है. सो आई गेट 4 buckets: डिजाइन, नॉन डिजाइन, कंफ्यूज्ड अबाउट डिजाइन, नॉन डिजाइन, एंड unknowables as of now. So then the question comes कि ओके नाउ यहाँ आने के बाद क्या करें हम, ये थॉट आ रहा है, अब क्या करें हम? आई थिंक the essential question is, if we are saying that if we are in a business of enabling design and using design with some intentionality. The design has certain purpose to it. The design has to serve certain purpose to it. Uh, uh, how do we think this through? So I'm thinking as I'm speaking on this, and uh, mm, okay, I'll halt here. If you want to chime in something, you can chime in, and then maybe something else might emerge.
Okay, so I got this. You can hear me okay, right? Can you hear me? Okay. So here's the thing, right? So if you look at it, design is all around us, right? In whatever way possible. And I'm just talking randomly. Like I was eating a banana. I'm sorry, it's a banana peel right next to me. So I mean, there's a reason why banana is shaped like this, and I may not have uh, the knowledge or the understanding why Prakriti or nature made the banana like this, but it has made. And I'm of the belief that whatever design that we see around us uh, happened because it was following the law of physics. Matlab, for example, probably the banana would have been most stable in that kind of a shape. The growth, it'll allow for the most growth. I don't know, right? I don't understand. Maybe it grows on in bunches, so the bunches would probably flow from there on center of gravity, etc., etc. So anything that you look around us from our human body, or the reason there's eyes are here and not here, data. So anything that you see natural has follows the law of physics and evolution to have built design into it. I am a believer that design is all around us, from a water bottle to a glass to human body to the clothes we wear to whatever we do. There's enough and more uh, evidence of design around us. So that's one. Second, what then started to happen was as we started to become evolved society and we could build tools and we could use our hands with a little more dexterity. What started happening was that we started to build tools and things that first made our environment more uh, livable and then more comfortable. And they're two different things. One is I'm living in a cave, I need to shut the cave. So I will probably do some sort of a leaf, wood, stone, I don't know what material it was there. And once the cave was shut, I needed to look it, I wanted to probably see it more aesthetically, more functional in terms of me being able to move out and in without making a new door all the time. So then we evolved from utility to little more, a nicer, deeper, evolved design. And then from there on, a lot of things would have happened. किसी ने बोला होगा मेरी केव के ऊपर मैं हाथी का दांत लगाऊंगा, किसी ने बोला होगा मेरी केव के ऊपर मैं स्टोन लगाऊंगा जो चमक रहा है, diamond or whatever. And then things move from there on, right? So that's how design would have evolved. So my belief is that there is a very very huge merit in thinking about design from the lens of the function it plays, the role it plays, the what it does to you, the utility it serves. So from a pencil to a pen to a shirt to a coffee mug, whatever, like everything that we do has to serve a function. And then once that function is served, you add to the next layer of it. The next layer could be making comfortable, better, easier, like whatever. So that's that. And then second thing I believe is, so that's one part of my understanding of how design is and evolved. So I am one of those people who believe that design has to, I love designs that are a little more, say, symmetric. They follow the law of natures, they follow fractals, they follow, so that's me. I'll not go there. Okay. That's one. Second is, then what happened was, because of the way human evolution happened and we started evolving, we were trained to look at a few things and say, this looks better. And if this looks better, means this looks more, I want to be accessing this. So for example, science has proven that if your face is symmetric, you tend to find more beauty in that face. Science has proven that if my cheekbones are sunken, I find more beauty in that face. Science has said that if you show a curvy body structure to a chimp, they will probably find it better. If you show a thin body structure, they'll find better. And then things started to move from there on as well. And what happened was that we started to assume a certain thing, and we started to get trained into certain things. Like for example, universally, red is a sign of danger. Now, did we train ourselves for it? Did we get trained automatically? I don't know the answer. But then the design started evolving into uh, playing a little more functional role. Like we know कि कुछ भी लाल होगा तो शायद वो खराब होगा. So when I make design today and if I use red color, I try to think of that red thing as going to be negative, aggressive, full of energy, full of vigor, full of passion, all of that. So that's how I think the evolution and life of design as a discipline evolved. And then obviously there are some people who are good with the use of tools, good with understanding of these things, and good with being able to express this in a language that other people understood, and then they sort of got an edge over other people. The other thing that I want to just like sort of put on the paper while we speak is that, design is an extremely subjective uh, thing, and what that means is that that uh, uh, that you may like a thing that is extremely well, and I may hate that at the same time. So design remains subjective apart from the universality of it. Like this t-shirt I'm wearing, you may not like it at all. I may love it for what I do. Like this keychain that I have in my key, I like it because of the utility. You may not like it because you feel that it doesn't offer the utility and it's not good looking or whatever. So that's two, right? So these are the two layers to look at it from design. And what I do is every time I need to look at design per se, I look at these two um, lenses, and then these sort of have uh, uh, got ingrained into my conscience, and then automatically when I see something, I tend to evaluate from these two three uh, uh, lenses. So yeah, so that's my uh, uh, like starting thought, if I may.
Brilliant, Saurabh. Actually, I can riff on some of them.
Yeah.
So what came up for me when you were saying is, when I was writing my book, I created certain 11 devices, sort of writing devices, which I would use when I'm writing something. I would try and see if, I could use one of those devices that aids me in my writing. Uh, or if I've written, then after that, I can check through against the filter of those 11 devices. How does it stack up? What my writing was. So one of the device that I used was, how does this particular concept that I'm thinking about, writing about, feeling about, what's the connection of this concept with a 1-year-old? What's the concept? What's the connection of this concept with a person in prison right now on a death row? What's the relationship of this concept with a terminally ill patient? What's the relationship of this concept with somebody who's just had one of the most devastating emotional relationship breakdown, or breakup? Uh, and then extending this device, the idea was, imagine we were in a conflict zone, and imagine if we were bombarded. We don't know where a bullet might come in, or there's a missile on its way to head towards us. What's the relationship of this particular concept if I'm in that scenario? Now, what this device does for me is it puts that particular whole concept in a very different light when I think about it. Um, and it straight takes me to a point where uh, it takes me to the narrow lane of whether I have a choice about this concept or its application or not. So, for example, there are times in my life when in a particular experience, in a particular scenario, I just did not have the choice, which means that whatever was handed down to me, I had to take it. I had no choice. So, so I think there is an interesting aspect to uh, the functional aspect of the design and its use in the survival mode, and the non-functional stroke aesthetic aspect to it, and its use in the thrival mode, or whichever other modes that are there. So that was coming up for me as I heard you say. um, you interestingly mentioned that the color red, perhaps could be seen as a sign of fear across many cultures. And one thing that came up for me was the color red is also auspicious in a lot of cultures. So they see it as an auspicious rather than fear. It's an invocation of a good energy. So that was coming up for me. So maybe the color can represent, and then that leads to another question. Is our relationship with the color red innate, or is it cultural? if I were to borrow from Peter Thiel, the PayPal founder, who quotes a very interesting thinker called René Girard very often. René Girard, René Girard का एक interesting quote है कि man wants what other wants or others want. So our wants are
So everybody
yeah.
at C4E is mandated to read the mimetic theory at least at a superficial level, if not at the deeper level, but superficial level to padna hi hai unko mimetic theory.
Super. So there we go. So are we wanting what others are wanting? So how does all of this connect to our business at C4E? And there the question is that I don't even know what a good question is here. So I'll stop here.
So here's the thing, right? So design में ना हेमंत जो मतलब मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि लेयर्स है देखने के लिए, उसके लिए एक है सर्वाइवल लेयर कि मेरे को खाना है. If I look at food and it looks red, extremely red, while it may be appetizing to a lot of culture, at least for Indian culture, red automatically means कि spicy होगा, तीखा होगा. So I'm little more predisposed to thinking it will be a certain kind of taste. And what that means is that I am little more aware about eating it before before I start to eat it. Example दे रहा हूँ मैं आपको, so that's superficial level. Level number 2, if I feel some influencer of a sorts, like some big guy or big person saying that कि ये देखो fire chili खाया बहुत मजा आया मुझे, तो now I am, thanks to mimetic theory, I mean I'm sure you understand, I mean you know it better than most people because मैंने भी superficially पढ़ा है उसको. तो moment I see that my favorite cricketer has said that this fiery red dish is going to be the best dish that you will ever eat, I probably will want to consume it because उसने बोला है. Now I can marry philosophy from René Girard. I could talk about Cialdini's principles on influence, wherein authority figure is asking me to have it. I can also look at likeness, but multiple constructs can be used here, right? The point is that that's a second layer of design. So one is functional, that nobody can dispute. I cannot dispute that green is calming to me. Matlab, nature wise, we've been trained to look at green as a calming whatever color or whatever, right? Then there is red conversation that we had. That's nature. I'm saying if I take a conversation a little ahead, then there is individual evolved design. I may like green, I may like red, I may like yellow, I may like black. Then on top of it, there is this mimetic theory that starts coming in, that I love red as my basic nature, but because I've been told by my mentors and gurus that red is bad, I start hating red as well. So I train my behavior to match the behavior of the world around me. And then if I go a layer up, which is where you probably get free from all these biases and you are able to abstract yourself away from, like Saurabh, looking at Saurabh talking about design could also give me that understanding that ये सब सिर्फ constructs हैं जो हमने बनाए हैं to make life little more not tolerable but little more understandable. And what this means is that I need to be able to what do you call it? I need to be able to do a independent objective perspective and then do design and independent objective evaluation and then operate from there on. So that these are the 3-4 layers of abstraction that I think would come in when I hear you. Now, what I do with it is something I don't know right now, but this something is interesting for me to look at and think about in terms of the design conversation that we are having. So yeah, so that's probably that, if I make sense.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, so one is the idea, one is the churning of our relationship with the concept of design, and the other is the application. We may not be able to jump to the application right away, but maybe this could give food for thought to just destrangle the hold of our existing mental models, and just let it be that for some time, and then maybe applications might emerge over a period of time. Uh, uh, we could although do one thing, that what are the in what way today design is easy or difficult than designing something a few decades back. So a version of this question is, was design in what way was design easier or different or difficult couple of decades back, and how is it easier, different, difficult now? Are there anything emerging for you?
Do you want to repeat the last 10 seconds? Because I sort of got that internet wasn't, it was patchy for me last 10 seconds.
Yeah, I was saying that design design exists in a context, right? It's
Yeah,
the
absolutely. Yeah.
so the design for the context, we can look at the time as a we can shift before after as a time context and say so design 2 decades back or a decade back, or how is it easier different than design right now, or vice versa? How is design
Um,
easier different now than a couple of decades back?
um, I'm thinking. So here's the thing, right? I think 2-3 decades back, what is happening was, and I'm just trying to think on the fly here. So 2-3 decades back, the availability of, so okay, 2-3 decades back, right? If I look at those 3-4 layers of design that I'm talking about, the fundamental layer wouldn't have changed. Everybody would want to look at green as soothing, red as danger, except Indian context in terms of Sindoor and all of that. I understand that, but I'm saying the other layers that I spoke to you about, right? Probably 2-3 decades ago, the availability of information and exposure to the world would have been very, very limited for an individual. So for what that means is that today, when I look at a phone, it's a global design. I mean, this hasn't designed by somebody for the use of people across the globe. 2-3 decades ago, the design would have been a lot more, say, local, a lot more limited in terms of inspiration from the outside world, a lot more. The other day I saw, for example, I'll give a bad example. The other day I saw Jumbo King as a retail chain. Now they call themselves JK Burger. Now they started as a Vada Pav. Now to me, it's sad and eye-opening at the same time that from Vada Pav they had to move to burger because burger is now a little more acceptable as a food product.
Just as an aside, I've met Dheeraj. Dheeraj is the owner of Jumbo
Yeah,
at
I
15,
know.
16 years back. And at that point, we had this conversation with him, and he said, never ever in my life I would go there.
I know, but that's the harsh reality of business, right? I mean, can't help it. We need to do what the invisible hand makes us do, right? Like I say a lot that I will never have an office, but what if I need to have an office, right? So okay, never say never, right? But coming back, right? Be though decades pehle, 3 decades pehle, Jumbo King would always stay. Will always say that they are a burger company and they will always remain a burger company and they will not change it for anything ever. That is what they would have thought, but now they are being sold as a burger brand, and it's very sad that vada pav is not able to survive in this new postmodern world that we live in. So the point is that 2-3 decades ago, I don't know how easy or difficult was it to design, but the exposure to both the designers and the audiences was less. If 3 decades ago you said that you will have a coffee shop called Starbucks in India who will sell coffee for $500 and there'll be people sitting there, you would probably laugh at them. But today you are obviously using that on a day-to-day basis. 3 decades ago, if you said that you will design a tool that will be in your hand that will allow you to transact with a rickshawala, you would be surprised at it. But today it's a day-to-day phenomena. So design was far more simpler to, not simpler, pardon my language, but the context in which I had to design was very simple. I had to design for Haryanvis in Hisar, but today I have to design for Haryanvi in not just in Hisar, but in like the other places as well. And then there are a lot of startups doing work in that language, and they are still, like, for example, everybody has been trained that X is a button that you use to close a window. 2 decades ago, there was no context for me to design that X is a window to close. Like today, my father, who uses a Haryanvi OTT app, knows how to operate the app because he knows login का मतलब login करना, sign out का मतलब sign out करना. दो decade पहले उनको नहीं पता था sign out क्या होता है, login क्या होता है. And then he's not a dumb, uh, illiterate, uneducated individual. And just an evolution of right. So एक तो वो मेरे को लगता है बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चेंज हुआ है हमारी लाइफ में कि हमें 2 हफ्ते में दो डेकेड 3 डेकेड्स में information exposure has become extremely high, and we are, I may even go to information mass exposure, like overexposure, whatever. I don't know the word here, but एक तो वो हो गया है. दूसरा, number of practitioners has become huge. So दो तीन decades पहले you were a doctor or an engineer and you will remain siloed into your work. Today our work is now all over the place. Even you can design today, even though you have no formal training in design. You could have learned from the internet. You could have experimental, and people are accepting for your design. So what you did design today traditionally may not be looked at as design, but what you design today is appreciated and accepted by the world as well. So what is it that, so that has changed as well. The third thing that happened, so that's the second thing that happened, that A, information availability was limited. B, the number of practitioners was limited. Now there is every kid today with a laptop is a designer in terms of what they're doing. The third thing that has happened is that this entire thing about every individual being a chalta firta media empire has also happened. आज से दो तीन decades पहले, you'd only hear about what Shah Rukh Khan or whoever is the actor of that time was doing. Today, I get to know what Anshika Kushwaha is doing, and she's like a 21-year-old kid who's living in some corner of Bombay, and the entire internet can see what is she up to. So number of consumers, number of creators has grown up, and each person has started to bring their individuality out on the internet. क्या आप एक certain color पहनोगे? क्या आप एक certain kind of brand रखोगे? Like example, I bought this product the other day. iPad का cover है ये. I bought this the other day. I hate it. It's the worst designed product in the world, if you ask me. But it is a universal product and it sells like hotcakes, and there are like 17,000 people who are extremely happy. But to me, it is extremely bad as a product. But so that's what it is. 2 decades ago, I would have accepted this as a product. Today, I want to change it. Today, I want to talk about how I can improve it, and I have the power to go and change it as well. So yeah, that's my thought. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah, very interesting. 2, 3 things came up, Saurabh, as you were sharing. One is, I remember having this conversation a couple of decades back where there was a binary around, या तो mass है या customized है. Yes, यानी standardized है, customized. I think because of the advent of technology, we have a paradoxical combination of mass customization now. That's one thing. Now the question is, what does that do to the creator and the consumer? What does the phenomena of mass customization do to creator and consumer, and what do they do to the mass customization? Both ways are the feedback loop. The question for me, curious question for me, is: are we in an era of fluid design rather than, so let's say design had a shelf life? Are we to also say that only in certain cases you would have design having a longer shelf life, or have we entered the era of extremely fluid, nimble, agile design also? I don't know. I'm just thinking loud right now.
Even I would not know. Also, I am probably not qualified to talk about design from a practitioner lens. I can only talk from a user lens, because to be honest, I mean, at least आप तो फिर भी doodle कर सकते हो. I don't think I can. I'm able to do that, to be honest. So the point here is that I can only tell you from how I look at design as a consumer and not as a creator or a thinker of design. I am for my job, I evaluate a lot of design, but I hope you understand that that I need to so that's my limitation, right? So I have a certain limitation on design as a business. So yeah, that.
In fact, एक और lens है इसमें कि because we are also in the era of freedom of speech to another level, the sensitivities of people getting hurt by a certain design is also very different now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it also means that anybody who's in the expression space, especially if they are stewarding a brand, right? That means that their sensitivity and exposure to understanding different sensibilities is also very important. So tomorrow, if we have a designer or a copywriter or a program manager, probably having that kind of understanding and exposure is also an extremely crucial thing to have in the team, I guess.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you. I think I'm not as worried about hurting the sensibility and all that. I'm saying I want to operate from me knowing the limitation. I don't know if I make sense. I know my limitation as an individual commenting on design, because while I understand, I hope you understand that it's my limitation. I'm not worried about, and I'm okay. I mean, offend to ठीक है, मतलब दुनिया भर offend कर रही है यार. So I'm not worried about that as a problem. But ठीक, I mean, we start by saying that we operate from our lens, and if that resonates with you, fear, great. If it doesn't resonate for you, it's not for you. Like this has also changed, to be honest, in the world in the last few years, that I would want to do everything to make sure that everybody is happy, and I would include everybody. Today I'm saying that this is my life. If you're a fit in this, please, you're welcome. If you're not, I wish you well, and then you will run your life the way you want to. So I think that is that's my thought, if you ask me.
Yeah.
On that.
One of the other devices that we used to use when thinking about a concept is, can we just use an everyday language, or how do we use that particular word in everyday language? So let's take the word design. I think on an ongoing basis, हम लोग कई बार ये बोलते हैं by design, by default, right? It comes very easily. ये by default है, ये by design है. So the essential question is, what's the distinction between, which is by design and by default? And how does the default constraint or facilitate the design? And how does the design constraint or facilitate the default? That's another interesting, why this is, sorry.
No, I don't think I can even comprehend this line of conversation. I'm just like thinking out loud.
So let's take an example. Language. We're using language, right? If we see some of the very interesting aspect of the language, it has generativity to it, in the sense that अभी जो मैं statement 12:56 पे 24 फरवरी 2024 को सौरभ को बोलने वाला हूँ, ये मैंने आज से पहले बोला ही नहीं है. मैंने हजारों करोड़ों वर्ड्स बोले हैं, लेकिन अब जो मैं बोलने वाला हूँ शायद वो बोला नहीं है. उसका एसेंस मैंने शायद मिलता जुलता बोला होगा, but ये first time बोल रहा हूँ मैं. So there is a certain amount of generativity to it, which means it has a structure. It has certain, I have to use certain thing by default. I have to use grammar in a certain way by default. But उससे कुछ और भी अच्छी चीज डिजाइन हो सकती है. But if I don't use it by default and I use a thing which is not grammatically comprehensible by you, I won't have that generativity of design also, is what I'm saying.
Again, I am unable to even comprehend जो आप बोल रहे हो, हेमंत, क्योंकि sorry, I'm trying to follow you, but I'm unable to. But my thought is that I understand that language plays a very important role. Everyday expression is important to be able to create more things. I understand all of that, right? But my challenge is, like I said, I'm not a practitioner, right? I'm not a creator. At best, right. I'm a consumer of that. So I look at it from that consumption lens की अच्छा यार, अच्छा ये जो bottle मेरे सामने रखी है, इसका pump अच्छा है. If I press this, thing will come out and I use it by hand. I don't care. I don't want to go to somebody and say कि भाई तू ये pump बना जिसमें मेरे को इतना viscosity पे fluid बाहर आएगा और मैं इसको use करूँगा. I will tinker with 3 different things and I'll buy whatever is the best thing for me. So I'm saying it's how it says, right? Not my monkey, not my circus, right? I don't care about this particular. I mean, I know where you're coming from, but it's not something that makes me want to go deeper into this, right? That's right. I don't know if it makes sense.
No, it's perfectly all right. So as of now, I think good. Anything else coming up for you?
No, sir. I mean, design पे बहुत thought है. In fact, design पे you should definitely talk to people like Ruta, for example, because she has extremely solid lenses on design, and she calls me I mean, between you and me, and obviously record कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. She calls me a design fake, whatever. Like she says that, like when I tell her that this logo looks great, she asks me what is your qualification to say that's a good design or not design, and I tell her that I'm looking at it as a consumer, and then she tells me that you have no right to run an agency on design if you do not know the deeper nuances to it. And I obviously disagree with her, because fine, as friends and colleagues and individuals, we can agree to disagree on a lot of things, and this is one of those things that we sort of disagree upon. But the point is that I think in this conversation, if you have with people who are practitioners of design on a day-to-day basis, you would probably have little more nuanced conversation that will come out.
Because maybe I'll reach. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Saurabh.
No, I'm saying मैं नॉन डिजाइनर की तरह बात कर रहा हूँ. if you talk to a designer, they may have a different lens altogether of this very conversation. That's all I was saying. Like they will look at design far differently. Like they will probably cry at the fact that every today human being calls themselves a designer. I think it's a great thing. They will probably think it's a bad thing because a lot of bad design is coming out in the internet. Example दे रहा हूँ मैं आपको, like I'm giving you more examples around that. So ये सब बोल रहा था आपको मैं. That's it. मतलब हर एक इंसान का अपना वो होता है ना, क्या बोलते हैं, understanding होता है. तो so practitioners will.
Maybe what you're saying is there is design democratic हो गया है अभी और वो अच्छा लग रहा है आपको.
मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है, मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है, but जो ट्रू प्रैक्टिस, like, okay, I'll give an example. Imagine healthcare today, tomorrow gets democratized. I'll tell you, Hemant, आप मेरे घर आओ, I will do an operation for you for your heart transplant. Now, a doctor today will be, you probably will experiment because Saurabh बोल रहा है, Saurabh पे trust है, अच्छा आदमी है, करेगा, कर लेते हैं, try करते हैं, big deal, right? You will say, हाँ चलो कर लेते हैं. But जो असली डॉक्टर होगा बोलेगा, अरे यार, how dare you like go to a Saurabh without any scalpels, without any gloves, without any backups, etc. So they will not like it. Will they like it? Answer is no. If I told you, Hemant, I will make a building for you to live in, an architect will not agree to it. I have learned design from the internet. I have tried making a small model house with toothpicks and ice cream sticks and cardboard. But I hope you understand where I'm coming to, right? Like democratization is great, but these are serious conversations, serious topics. Bad design can kill people. मतलब seat belt.
बहुत अच्छा एक इसमें रैबिट होल निकल रहा है सौरभ, if you bear with me. And let's एक hypothesis put out करते हैं कि there are some cases or pursuits where the technical rigor is extremely crucial for it to be made and sustained in a safe manner. Let's put that as a placeholder. And let's just go a little further on that things that follow laws of physics, which are where there is high evidences of replication, where there are no replication crises, which has repetitiveness and reproducibility, which is what physics and laws are, right? They're reproducible, they're repetitive, right? जहां तक वहां की बात हो गई और वहां पे टेक्निकल रिगर की रिक्वायरमेंट है, मटेरियल साइंसेस इन्वॉल्व है, शायद एक अलग एंड देन अगेन वो यूज कौन कर रहा है, इंडिविजुअल अपने लिए कर रहा है, किसी और के लिए कर रहा है, या मास के लिए कर रहा है. सो दोज इंटरसेक्शंस आर एक्सट्रीमली क्रूशियल फॉर looking at how collectively as a society who should be allowed to do these things. That's one part.
But the thing, right? Allowed क्या होता है? That's the thing. What is allowed? What do you mean by allowed? मतलब who are you to allow me? मतलब मैं आपकी बात नहीं कर रहा. मतलब when my designer friend says कि तुम allow करो, मैं I'll allow you to design. I'm like, who are you to allow me to design? I can do it. So that's what I was like. हाँ sir.
So no वो क्वेश्चन भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है आपका. ये वाला जो सेकंड पॉइंट है इस पे भी आएंगे, because that is where collectively as a society, if we say we function under a democracy, तो and collectively at least आप और मैंने तो साइन नहीं किया था कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. We were born into this constitution, right? And we were handed it down,
yeah.
Right? So in a way, the moment you take citizenship, you're bound by those laws. If we don't like it, we can leave the country.
Absolutely.
Technically, right?
But of course, it's a societal contract that I've signed to be part of this. So I'm okay. I'm not denying that.
Correct. तो वहां से वो allowance का rubric आ रहा है, but yes, allowance which cannot be challenged ever is not an allowance. It's diktat, which is what we don't want in a society.
Absolutely.
Coming back to this thing where there are aspects of our consumption and pursuits which has extremely high subjectivity, and they're not as replicable and not repeatable and reproducible. Are areas where you will have this contestation of who can do or who should do it. Because and humanities में अगर आप इसको दूसरे एंगल से देखें हैं, साइंस में जो साइंस में साइकोलॉजी और सोशल साइंस में रेप्लिकेशन क्राइसिस आ रही है. आपने एक एक्सपेरिमेंट किया, आपने एक रिसर्च पेपर पब्लिश किया जर्मनी में, अब वही हाइपोथेसिस को लेके एक अमेरिका में कोई बंदा उसको रेप्लिकेट करने की कोशिश कर रहा है, वो रेप्लिकेट नहीं हो रहा.
Because obviously the subject and the data and all of that is different in Germany. Correct.
So now the world is already, actually within science also there is a huge war going on between the humanities and the mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, sciences. तो मुझे लग रहा है ये जो डिजाइन का एलिमेंट है जहां पर मटेरियल इन्वॉल्व है, वहां पे शायद आपको साइंटिफिक लॉज के ऊपर रिलाई करना होगा जब तक आप दूसरों के लिए करें. और दूसरों में भी अगर चीजें अलाउड, जैसे खाना बना रहा है आज कोई, आप खाना बना के खिला रहे हैं, आपके पास एक फूड लाइसेंस होगा तो ठीक है, अगर आप हॉकर हैं तो शायद लाइसेंस की भी आपकी जरूरत नहीं है। बट जो डिजाइन जहाँ ह्यूमैनिटीज आ जाता है, जहाँ पे सब्जेक्टिविटीज आ जाती है, एस्थेटिक्स आ जाते हैं, देयर आई थिंक ईच पर्सन कैन बी ए क्रिएटर। आई डोंट थिंक
I don't know. I may agree, but the world may not agree. आप समझ रहे हो? आपने बोला कि ठीक है, जो आपने बोला परफेक्ट बोला. I may agree to this because I like the entire idea of democratization of things. Even मैं तो बोल रहा हूँ डॉक्टर को भी ले आओ, साइंस को भी ले आओ, मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. But that's me, right? But the real hardcore practitioners may not agree. That is what I was trying to
रहेगा।
tell you. हाँ, मतलब मेरे को ऐसा लगता है. I'm happy if they are open in terms of their if they think that they are they are open enough for that. I'm sure it's a great thing. But मुझे लगता है कि वो I don't know there is what is the end to this. मतलब मैं आपको सिर्फ इतना बता रहा हूँ जो मेरे को पता है. There's no end to it. Like I don't know, right? And when I do brand logos for various brands, I've seen logos of interns getting approved and logos of very uh, fancy celebrated designers don't getting approved. So there is no science to it again, right? It's just a thing. So
Yeah.
इतना ही था.
So here we are, हम लोग 45 मिनट से exchange कर रहे हैं. I think we can stop right now unless you want to complete on something, and there's more like a jamming kind of thing. We don't know where
Absolutely, I
this
don't
will
have a
go.
thought. I don't have a thought. हाँ, मतलब I'm okay to talk. मतलब good for me because it makes me think and when I talk I think that better. So that,
ठीक है,
you know.
ठीक है सौरभ. I think I'll stop the
Cool,
recording.
amazing.
Yep, thanks a lot. चलो, bye.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.